Okay, super. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We have a very interesting presentation today from Oracle. It is about NIS2 and DORA and how to address the security aspects and especially in terms of databases and a security architecture. And just one moment, I also had the YouTube live. And today we have together with us two colleagues from Oracle. We have Marcin Kozak joining from Poland, and we also have Bianca Baicu from Oracle Romania. Marcin will be discussing today with you in an interactive manner. He has been working as a security architect for Oracle, and he has the focus of database security and identity management. Now, these are a few words about Marcin. Now, let him say some others before he starts the presentation. Many thanks.
Martin, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for this invitation. Today, I would like to talk about database security in the context of NIS2 directive and DORA regulation. I'm sure that you've seen recent ENISA Threat Landscape 2024 report. It was published like 3, 4, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago. In the first picture in the report, you can see incidents that happened last year divided by threat type. And just to remind you, 41% distribution denial of service, 41%. 26% ransomwares, 19% data. Data in the report means data breach, so it's a dedicated attack against confidentiality, or data leak means accidental action like human error or misconfiguration. Today, I would like to show you how to use a business risk approach to mitigate such cyber risks. When we are thinking about security, usually first thing that comes to our minds is CIA, right? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability, I should say, from the business perspective, protection of confidentiality, integrity, availability. And this is how we design systems at Oracle, right? With shifting left. I mean, security, cybersecurity, shifting left. That means that we do not design system and then think how to protect some information, some asset. When we think about designing system, when we gather information, what to do and how to do, we are thinking about security. So probably you've seen this slide many times. This is well-known Oracle slide when in the center you have Oracle database and around you have different controls, different protection mechanism. And this is fine. And I will use it today during the presentation because I'm going to tell you how to use encryption to protect confidentiality and how to mitigate different risks in the network. So yes, I will talk about technology later. But from my perspective, and I think that it should be also, you can treat it as an inspiration. From my perspective, this whole discussion about cybersecurity, about technology, this is great stuff. I love technology, and I hope that you will see it later. But without measurement, there is no point to discuss about technology. So at first, you need to measure, and that's why I've done it by myself. I created this black arrow on the right side of this presentation, of this slide, to show you that we should start from the vulnerability assessment, from the measurement. It's the idea behind is easy. you don't measure, you don't control. So as an important part of risk management, vulnerability assessment is an important process to measure your weaknesses. And yes, this is about Oracle. As you know, I've been working for Oracle, so yes, I will be talking about Oracle database. But use this approach, the way of thinking, as a general approach. So a vulnerability assessment is a process we usually start our discussion about cybersecurity. And this is no matter whether you use qualitative risk assessment on or quantitative, the story behind is always the same. Start from the small steps. And yet this is about technology, because you are, from the business perspective, you are using technology to reach your goals. So it's your business risk is a technology risk. So if we are talking about technology, this vulnerability assessment is very important. I will touch it later. So we call it, at Oracle, we call it maximum security architecture. So we, at first, we are shifting left cybersecurity. So security is not at the end; it's from the beginning, and we design our system in the context of risk management. So this is very important, and I selected scenario one. This is what I'm going to tell you today: vulnerability assessment, encryption to protect confidentiality of the information, and then some aspect from the network, because 41% distribution denial of service. So it goes through the network. But it's not the end. I mean, it's just a simplification, obviously. Here we have encryption. I mean, we wanna protect our confidentiality in production database, so we are using encryption. But the same way of thinking is with test and dev environment. You wanna protect your confidentiality, and that's why you may use masking solutions to protect your confidentiality. The message is consistent, so I think that this is very important. This is probably confidentiality and integrity discussion, maybe a little bit availability, but to availability we have separated a blueprint. It's maximum availability architecture. So we have maximum security architecture, we have maximum availability architecture, and probably you know it already, because if you are an Oracle customer, you know all these technologies here. I will not discuss every single availability option. No worries. I just want to tell you some words about zero data loss recovery appliance. This is what I selected in this red square, but I think that from the DORA and NIS2 perspective, it will be very important. And yes, I know that when we are thinking about availability, usually we think about BCP and disaster recovery, all clear. You probably know very well RTO, I mean, how long you are down, RPO, how much data you may lose, and recovery service level, right? How much computing power you need in case of I mean, is needed for your production environments in case of disaster. So this is all clear. And yes, this is important from the BCPR and disaster recovery perspective. But we are trying to design our systems to protect and to think about resiliency. So we are trying to build systems that will be all the time up and running. So this is also important way of thinking. However, I know that the classical approach with BCP is still valid. I will touch it. I will touch it a little bit later. So I hope that it will be more clear. I have, I think, six slides at the beginning to tell you the way of thinking, to show you the way of thinking about NIS and DORA. As I said at the beginning, I hope it will be maybe you will use it as an inspiration. I would like to, but you don't need to agree with me. That's the point here. And the beauty behind cybersecurity in general, it's all depends on your risk assessments. So maybe your environment is different. Maybe you have different risks. Maybe you have already some kind of compensation technology that you use to mitigate some risks. So it all depends. But when we are talking about NIS2 directive, right? Probably you see on the left here, this is Article 21, right? So with Chapter 4 and NIS2, it's a cybersecurity risk management and measures, and I think plus reporting obligations. So this is to anyone as a with a simple message. Run risk assessment to mitigate your risk, obvious stuff, to manage your risks, obvious stuff. And then you have 10 points with different measures. And I selected in a blue, I selected few of them because I think that it's a big scope, right? So I know that you know what to do with NIS2. I mean, that you need to select your scope, and this is what I put here on the right side, that you select your scope, that you use your risk-based approach, and obviously document everything, including your controls. And this is very important stuff, like this documentation, because if you don't document, no documentation, no compliance. So this is for you, and from the compliance perspective, very important. But let's come back to the Article 21. You have 10 measures, including risk assessment. And the question is how to do this and what to do. And my experience, but this is my experience, once again, I need to repeat it. I would focus on something. Look, on the right side, right left, I mean right down corner. This is that picture from the ENISA threat landscape report. As I said, 41, the distribution denial of service. So it's a network stuff, right? Ransomware. It's a losing of confidentiality, but also availability. Sometimes depends on the ransomware attack. But this is confidentiality and availability, and data breach, data leak, confidentiality. So it means that discussion about incidents, it's not if, it's when. So from my perspective, when we are talking about this NIS suggestion, I mean, the Article 21, what to do, for sure you need to build your competences, your skills in area of incident management. You need to know how to deal with incidents. For example, let's imagine a situation like right now that you have a ransomware attack. Do you know what to do? That's the question. Do you know what your organization will do? Who is in charge in your incident response team? Do you have any incident response team? So I think that this is very important to know how to react in case of any incident. So with ENISA, we are talking about incidents. It happened and it will happen. So it's very important to know what to do. So that's why I selected incident handling. But also, look, 41% denial of service, distribution denial of service. So it's network. So second recommendation should be, from my perspective, should be think about your network. Understand what is normal. Understand what is not normal. Identify any deviation, any change from normal. Just to understand the game you play. Is this still your game or not? So that's why I think, not only because ENISA report, not only 41%, not only about this, but I think that every single attack, including ransomware, is through the network. More or less through the network. I think that, look, 31, 26, 19, 80, 86% of incidents. So very important recommendation. Understand what is going on in the network. And the last point, data breach, data leak. I hope I explain it in a proper way, but this is about losing of confidentiality. So the recommendation about encryption, not only data at rest, but also data in transit and data in use, and we will touch it regarding DORA. It's very important. It's very important. So we have, let's try to look from the big picture here. We have risk management, obvious stuff. You need to understand what is the area of your highest risks. But based of this ENISA report, incident handling, network, and encryption, probably I would also add endpoint management, because it's very important to from the security perspective. I'm not saying it's your 4 magic points. That's not my message. But budget is for sure. Budget is not unlimited, and some kind of approach based of measurement, based of risk management is necessary. So I think that that points could be very important to every single customer, to every single customers. Everything obviously be a risk-based approach, but I think that it's worth to concentrate, it's worth to focus on something. Obviously, it's up to you. You don't need to agree with me, but it's up to you. Uh, and the last point here, I mean, the last message here. If you think you need additional competences, you can always create. I mean, you can always develop your competences. You can buy from the market, I mean, from your business partner, and then maybe with time you can develop your competences. It's up to you, because it's your risk management. I am a simple engineer. I am a simple security architect, so I can tell you how to measure something, how to identify weaknesses, and we will see. We will have this discussion about risk management later. So I will explain that a little bit more. But vulnerability by itself is not a problem. It is a problem when something or someone will use it, and you are talking about threat, and the probability of the threat, and the impact to your business is a risk, and you are the risk owner, not me. So but I am suggesting something on at first on ENISA, and I think that this is a strong message. And the end of this presentation, I will show you how to compare this year and last year. And actually, um, there is a change, but not that big, not that big. So it's important to have in mind that we have some kind of threats, and we should to think how to protect against them. And you know what? When I was looking at this is obvious knowledge. When you look at NISA, and NISA has special role in NIS2 right now. But when you look at this, and this is a recommendation for small and medium businesses. So, but look what they are saying. They are saying use encryption. They are saying access vulnerabilities. So it's a important part of risk management. They are saying protect your endpoints, right? Educate employees, obviously, but almost the same message, almost the same message. So that's why I think it's important to treat it as a inspiration. Maybe this is what I said before, to think how to mitigate my risks. And you know, when you have time, when you have time to think about NIS2 and DORA, I think that very important message should be that it's about everyone. I've met a lot of customers this year, and I've heard it's not me, it's not my problem. I saw all those informations. I mean, I saw the information from the internet. Yeah, I saw big companies. They are in trouble right now because of some kind of ransomware attack or something like this. It's not my problem because I am too small. And this is from my perspective, this is a serious problem, because if you use technology to run your business, you're always a target. Right now, especially right now, when everything is automated. I mean, uh, mm, especially right now, you are a potential target. When you have something, and when you have some kind of assets, and this asset is a value on the market, you are always a target. Uh, Always think about information, or let's imagine that the information is your asset, and it has a big value. Let's think what will happen if you lose confidentiality of this information. What will happen to your business, to you? That's the way of how we should think about this. But it's it. the question here also very important is what is the stage of my security? I mean, how do I measure my security? That's why I will tell you about vulnerability assessment. That's why I think that this is very important. And the final word here is that security probably is obvious, right? It's not a state. It's not like I will buy firewall, I will buy antivirus, and I am fine. I will wait. What will happen? It's not like this. It's a process, right? You have something, you need to test it constantly. You need to do some kind of penetration testing and think what kind of vulnerabilities you have. So this is a process. It's not who you are. It's not who you are. It's the process you are engaged in. So I think that this is very important. And at Oracle, we created Oracle Live Lab platform. If you put in the internet, if you type in the internet, Oracle Live Labs, you will see the platform. You can use it without any problems, without any additional fees, and you can learn technology there. Yes, it's about technology. Yes, I will be talking about technology, but this technology can mitigate your risk. So it's important to know how to use technology in a proper way. So I think that this Oracle Live Lab platform is very important. And because I love technology, I will invite you to run some Oracle Live Labs examples later. So maybe not today, but that's my invitation and it's open. Let's run some areas of technology and let's see what will happen. I mean, look how it works and think whether you need such technology to mitigate some risks. So with NIST 2, obviously is Article 21, right? Cybersecurity risk management measures. And with DORA, when we are talking about DORA, it's ICT risk management framework, right? From my perspective as a technology guy, DORA is more what to do, and RTS, I mean regulatory technical standard, I mean that's supplement to DORA is how to do this. So yes, with DORA we have some fundamental principles like cyber risk management, ITN, obviously, and cyber risk management, BCP, I mean, business continuity management and supervision and oversight. So it's clear. But the key point in DORA is ICT asset, right? So when I look at the definition and I would like to explain it right now to be 100% clear. ICT asset is it's actually all technology that you use to handle information. I mean, when you look at the information lifecycle, so it's all technology that you use to handle what is when you create, store, use, share, archive, and destroy information. So it's a full technology that you use to handle the information lifecycle management, and the same way of thinking we use for like with NIS2. So when we are talking about DORA, we are talking about like section 4, for example, encryption and cryptography, right? Article 6, this is how to do this, right? I mean, encrypt and rest, create policies. So encrypt to protect confidentiality, manage keys to protect your keys to encryption. I will explain it how to do this at Oracle. So it's very important. But also, and this is one important bullet here. ICT asset management. My recommendation with ICT asset management, and I think that this is great to discuss such stuff right now, is because in ICT asset management, you identify your assets, right? You run your information classification, and it it's a fundament. I mean, for risk assessment, because you should know what to protect. You should know what's the value of the asset you want to protect. I mean, it's always cost versus benefit. So you should not spend 10 euros to protect information that that the value is 1 euros. I mean, it's obvious stuff. Always cost versus benefit. But look, this is about information. I mean, this is about inventory, right? So everything starts from inventory, so asset inventory. But from my perspective here, you should also run your inventory of your controls, existing controls, because you want to know how it works today, and you want to know how you protect your CIA triad risks with your existing controls. So it's not only about inventory of your assets, remember, also about inventory of your controls. I think it's obvious, but it's for sure it's worth to repeat it here. And you know what? Look, and this is what I mean by saying way of thinking. It's always when we are talking about compliance stuff, it's always the question, what's the cost of the incident? I mean, this is usual question. I think that when you see an ESA friend landscape report, that report I mentioned before, you always think, well, what will happen and what will be the cost in my organization? I mean, not only from the money perspective, but maybe also visibility perspective. That's the question. But maybe sometimes you should change that question. Maybe sometimes it's worth to ask, for example, what technology could have an impact in reducing the cost of data breach, in reducing. So, for example, when someone will steal my backup and I encrypted that backup, it will be just, I will lose just a device, maybe 100 euro, that's all. I will not think about the value of the information stored on this device because I protected them in a proper way. I encrypted using advanced encryption standard, and that way I am also happy with Article 21 with NIS2. I mean, the standardization. I mean, 25, right? It's a standardization in cybersecurity. It means that you should use international standards and technical specifications. So, that kind of thinking. Maybe it's worth to think how to mitigate some risk using technology, not only organizational changes by creating on paper some policy, but maybe I will use some kind of technology. And what this technology could have an impact on in reducing. I think that this is a very important question because we always ask ourselves what's the cost of the incidents. I mean, after all we need to pay, but maybe we should ask a different question. So this is very important. Uh, that slide, that the biggest risk is risk assessment, could be tricky. I mean, let me be clear here. I'm not saying that you should not run risk assessment. No, 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 no. That's not my message. But from my experience, I'm going to share my experience. The lack of visibility in the state of security in our organization is always the biggest risk. I mean, when you don't run vulnerability assessment, it means that you have vulnerability and you don't know what could expose them. So it's a problem, I would say. I mean, it's the biggest risk. When I hear that we don't run risk assessment in a technology because this is not our task, I'm worrying. When I hear that our management did risk assessment with analytical companies, and this is not about technology, I am worrying. So uh, my message here is, and this is my fresh experience, for example, last week actually, that a company told me we are using Kubernetes and we are using Cloud Native Computing Foundation threat modeling to mitigate our risk in Kubernetes. But this is we are using only threat modeling for infrastructure. We are not thinking what is in the container, what is in the pod, and this is that kind of example. So you are using some kind of threat modeling for infrastructure, but you don't think what is inside. So that's why it's worth to think uh, how we process data. Maybe you need data flow diagram to understand what is happening with your data, how it looks like. Data flow diagram is some kind of advanced architecture that you can see how you share your information, or maybe how you possess your information. I mean, the whole architecture with the flow of information. And that way you can see what is happening when what kind of system is used to achieve your business goals. And that's why it's so important to understand. And I know that people here, we are all experienced about cybersecurity, and I can imagine that you use your threat modeling approaches, maybe use Pasta, maybe ATSAM, maybe older frameworks. I don't think that people still use Red, but maybe different frameworks. And I know that you think, yeah, you define your objectives and your technical scope, and maybe you do when you are doing software development lifecycle, you're doing some kind of application decomposition and then threat analysis and vulnerability assessment. If it works like this, then fantastic. If you use your threat modeling as an input to your risk management, it's fantastic. But sometimes it's not like this. So this is what I'm saying here. And I think that this is separated discussion, by the way. It's not the end. I mean, DORA and NIS2, the main goal, I mean, the most important process is a risk assessment. So it's I think that this is separated discussion about the quality of the risk assessment is needed. I mean, why it doesn't work in general and how to change it, how to fix it. No matter if you are using, I don't know, qualitative risk assessment by Thomas Peltier, right? I mean, I am thinking about facilitated risk assessment analysis. No matter qualitative or quantitative, it doesn't matter. Maybe you are using ISO 27005 and then 31,000. So sometimes it's necessary to discuss why it's not that obvious, why we have this ENISA report, because I'm sure that when you look at this report, and I suggest to do this, you see that they selected the divided by different business segments. I mean, business by different segments in the market, and I'm sure that they all have done risk assessment. So what was the problem then? Why it's 41 then distribution denial of service? So I think that this is separated topic, but very important, very important. Just saying here, again from my experience, that it's not that clear and not that consistent sometimes, and it's very important to think twice about risk management. But let me concentrate on technology. I don't want to tell you. I will come back to NIS and DORA for sure, but I would like to show you how at Oracle we support you in risk management. Obviously, we don't manage your risks. I mean, I have no idea what's your risk appetite. Maybe you don't want to encrypt because it's your risk appetite, and you understand the consequences. It's not me. So discussion about risks is not me, but I can discuss about vulnerabilities. I can show you how to do some kind of threat modeling, that's for sure. And look, we created the Oracle database assessment tool. Again, when you type in the internet Oracle database assessment tool, the first link is the link that you can, by the way, download the tool. It's a one simple tool, and you can run on your database. Yes, it's about Oracle databases, but as I said before, the message here, I mean, the way of thinking should be consistent and it should be about the system. It's not, I can imagine, it's not only about Oracle database, and it actually any database that store sensitive information, but it's more than that. It's about systems. So it's application plus database plus uh, or equipment that you need to run your business. So it's like this. So it's a system here. Yes, I'm talking about Oracle database, but the idea is it's consistent through everything you are doing with your risk. But here again, the Oracle database assessment tool, and what you get. At first, it's based on security standards. So here it's about CIS, but we also support STIC. CIS, the Center of Internet Security. Again, when you look at this in the internet, you will see that they produce benchmarks, I mean security baselines from different technologies. And then Oracle is no example. So what we've done at Oracle, we created tools that can automate the whole process. So you don't need to download 200 pages and step by step look about, I mean, check your vulnerabilities and think how to do this. Now you have automation tool, and this is a measurement tool. So you are measuring your vulnerabilities, and I think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic. Run it, run it. It's easy, but the message here is quite simple. You run your assessment, you have documentation, so you are proving your due care and due diligence is important. Is important from the compliance perspective, very important. But at first, you can think what to do with your vulnerabilities, right? And as I said before, select any table assigned to a normal user. It's not a problem. It will be a problem with this when this user will use this select any table tool to, to retrieve highly sensitive information and sell to the market. I know it's imagine my imagination, but it's the way of thinking. So here you have configuration, here you have auditing, here you have privileges and roles, my favorite part, and much more. And it's all based on C standard. On the right here you can see it. On the right here you have output from the script configuration, and on the left here you have sys. It's for 19C Oracle database. These recommendations. Like, I don't want to ask you right now. I don't want to ask you right now. What does sec protocol error trace action mean? Or sec protocol error future action mean? This is important from the denial of service attack. I mean, okay. I will explain. Sec protocol error future action, for example, here. I mean, the parameter here that is set to drop 3. It means that it means how Oracle database behave when receive malware packages, I mean changed packages. So it means that 3 modified packages and dropping a session. And here trace action, sec protocol trace action, what will happen if you receive this kind of messages with if you log in or not. For example, with trace, it means that you will log in all detailed information. Maybe it's not the best. Maybe it's not the best solution. Maybe it's better to change the log. Anyway, create your own baseline. Check your existing environment. If you are buying solutions from different companies, for example, you have some business partners and they are developing applications for you, check them and ask them why you are assigning select any table to normal users. Why with admin option? I know it's about details, but they do matter. This is important. This is important. And maybe at the first reading and the first time, it's complex stuff. But second, third time, it's a very effective tool. And yeah, the idea behind is to create your own baseline. Create your own baseline. That's my recommendation. In a settings, in a user profiles, privileges and roles, very important. And then auditing. Create your own baseline based on any standard. It could be CIS. If you are doing your business in US, maybe it will be Department of Defense. I mean, STIC. Create your own baseline. Think what is important to you according to your risk management. So that's the way of thinking. And yes, database assessment tool is only for Oracle database. Yes, but the approach is important. And yes, this is only your Oracle database. I told you that it should be for a system, so application, everything you're using. But at least this is great start. At least this is great start and very important start. So this is, look at this, select any table. This is small example from the real audit. I mean, I masked some information here, but look how it works when you are doing such vulnerability assessment and you are a facilitator, for example, for cybersecurity team. You can explain to the business user that select table means access to almost everything in database, everything. And normal user like Taylor, is there a business reason why Taylor has this select table? That's the business question. Why this asterisk is here? I mean, why Scott user has this asterisk? Asterisk here means that with admin option, it means that you granted select in the table with admin option to the Scott. So you have no control on select in the table anymore because Scott can use it without asking you, can grant select in the table to any user. And the last question, so this is all about business actually. I have no idea if you feel it or not, but this is all about business. The why it's D here, why it's direct assignment, who assigned select on the table to this user? What was the business reason? Do you have justification? So this is how it works, and this is very important from the NIS and DORA perspective. Very important, not only to say someone asked me to grant select on the table to a normal user. It's not sufficient anymore. And I'm saying that by running Oracle database assessment, you have documentation because at the end, it's a documentation. So you can prove, you can say, I'm doing this. I can see the problems in our environment and I measure, and I forward to my manager or to our security team or business team, and I suggested to run some actions. So it's very important to run such action because if you understand vulnerability, then it's easier to finally, at the end of the day, manage your risks. So this is what I suggest to everyone. And usually I present, this is the last slide from the database assessment tool, but usually I present top 10 findings and I'm saying, well, dear customer, what about encryption? Dear customer, what about proper parameterization? I mean, this is important. Deny of service, and you have, not sufficient configuration. Do you accept the risk at first? Do you know that it's working like this? And but as I said before, it's sometimes it's important to change the question, like with technology, right? What is the factor you can use from the technology perspective that can impact in reducing your cost of data breach or data lost, right? Data breach, dedicated attack, data loss, mistake, for example. What's the technology? So instead of saying bad stuff, not that way. No. Instead of, let's change it. Let's create policy. Let's think how to encrypt and what to encrypt. What's the business reason behind? What is the value of the information? So maybe you wanna create your test and dev environments without production data, without sensitive data there. Maybe you wanna mask there. Uh, every every single technology I'm talking about, you can check on Oracle Live Labs, and I think it's beauty behind it. So this is not just discussion on slides. This is what you can touch. And I love this touch and see approach, because you can create your own opinion. And this is very important. So I describe a process of using database assessment tool to identify your weaknesses. This is very important. But it is a manual approach, right? When you download DBSAT, you need to run it, you need to know how to read it. It's a manual approach, but it's free of charge. I mean, you can use it, and not only for a compliance perspective, but as an input to your risk assessment. I think that very important. But obviously, we at Oracle, we created that part of functionality, and we put it in a tool to automate the whole process. And right now, I would like to tell you a few words about firewall and audit technology, I mean about audit vault and database firewall, it's a one functionality, one mechanism, separated from the functionality perspective, but it's a one option. And when you are talking about audit and firewall, you know already that it's a separated functionality. I mean, one is firewall in the network, so you can use classical SQL firewall to identify what is happening in your network. And later I will tell you about different firewall modes, but right now uh, it's a tool you can measure what is happening in your network between your applications or maybe privileged users and your databases. And what a surprise here on this picture. It's not only about Oracle. It's not only about Oracle. It's also about different databases like MySQL, Microsoft SQL. Uh, so it's not just Oracle, it's different databases, but it's a classical database activity monitoring approach. So you are looking what is happening in your network. You are checking if you are playing the game you think you are playing. I think that this is important. This is again measurement way of thinking, but it's very important from the business perspective. That's my view on this subject. And remember about ENISA report. 41% distribution denial of service, distribution denial of service, and everything goes through the network. Everything goes through the network. So, understanding what is happening, what is normal, what is not normal. I hope that you remember my recommendation from Article 21 of NIS 2. So it's important to care about your network, to understand normal, not normal, and to identify any deviation. So that's why it's so important. So here we have firewall, and here we have external auditing tool. So we can retrieve audit logs from engines, from database engines, but also we can see what is happening right now in the network. So it's very important knowledge because it's not just from database. It's also from, let's call it independent source. I mean, network source, the real source, because this is the way how you see what is happening right now. So this is how it works, more or less. I hope that you understand it. And I will tell you about just four, in my opinion, most important things. At first, when you look at the interface, this is the interface. I know that the best approach would be Oracle Live Labs. I mean, I prefer and I encourage you to run this workshop and Oracle Live Labs because this is the best way. I mean, learning by doing, the best approach. But I selected just few points here just to show you how it works. So when we have targets, it means that protected object, in this case, protected database, PDB1, because it's containerized database here. So you have your target, so you know what to protect. And look, security assessment, you run security assessment on your target. You can run it immediately right now, and you can obviously put it in a schedule. I mean, maybe most important, the most sensitive targets, one per quarter, and less important at once per year, maybe something like this. But here you decide what to do and what to do with assessment, how you can decide what kind of policy approach you are going to set, maybe about identification of entitlements, user entitlements, different sets. But as a result of this setting, you will see information output of this action in the reports. So this is quite easy to understand. You are setting here your action about audit, and then as a result, you see the reports. And you need to spend some time, that's for sure, to understand what is possible in reports. So when you run assessment and when you understand this background, it's easier to read report. But I will show you how to read it. So we are in the reports tab in the reporting section, and then you have reports divided by target, by severity. So it's up to you because it's your risk. But beauty behind it is that you see the risk level, for example, and you can see the risk by category, right? Maybe you do care about configuration and privileges and roles, that's all, and you wanna verify what's going on. And you see on the main console some basic informations, that's correct. And then you can drill down in a report. So for example, when I click here with sample schemas, probably I would know, I would understand that two sample schemas I have in my production environment. This is HR, as you all know, and Scott, and that's not the best practice on my production environment. I should uh, minimize modules and functionalities and objects on a production environment. The idea behind it is quite simple. If you don't use it, just remove it. Just to minimize the area of the attack. So it's like this. If you have no module in your solution, then this module could not be attacked. So this is how it works, but you can just do much more, because, for example, when you create your perfect configuration, like here is the example, and I will show you this example. And you are sure that this is your perfect baseline. You can set it as a baseline. And I think that this is important, and you cannot do this manually. I mean, you can, but you need to compare by yourself. But here, this is the beauty behind the tool, that you are doing. I mean, you are creating your own perfect, let's call it perfect configuration, and it's your baseline, and you set it as a baseline, and then every single deviation, every single change you will see in the main console. So this is how it works. So let's imagine I just spend my time to understand what is the network configuration, and as you know probably from the previous slides, I look at the sec protocol error feature action. That's okay. That's default configuration. By the way, if you have 11.2.0.4 database version, you need to check it because it's continue. So I know it's old, but it's not always the best set in every single version. If you buy something from any partner that designs something for you, check this configuration. It's very important from the distribution denial of service perspective, but they can change your environment, and you should know this. You should know this. If you buy something or if you test something, just run database assessment and verify what kind of settings you have, and just compare to your baseline. So this is how it works. So here we have drop, this is okay, but look, here we have no trace action, so no information will be logged to your system in case of any malware packages. So you don't want to have this known configuration. As you remember, sys log, at least log. Trace, probably trace would be great if you debug something, if you verify something, but not in a production environment. You don't want to trace. You don't want to set this parameter as trace. So it's more or less like this. It's bigger discussion, I know, but it's worth to run it, especially you have a tool. And this is what I told you begin. You have, security assessments. You have this great picture here, and you have here baseline, the differences between your baseline and the drift. I mean, this is what will change. You can click on it. You can go to reports. Actually, when you click, you go to report, and then you see what happened. And again, you can do some kind of mitigation risk. I mean, mitigation actions. But that's the key story behind it. Knowledge. You wanna know. You wanna understand what is happening. You want to understand how it changed. And I think that this is very important from that perspective. And it was about security assessment. I hope that you have enough of security assessment, but it's a very important process. The same with additional functionalities. I told you in the beginning I selected 4. So alert is another one. It means that when you gather every log in one system, you can just verify and find what is important to you. And this is how alert policies work. So you need to create your condition. It's yes, it's necessary to learn some kind of language here. It's not that complex because you can, take it from examples, from policies. But anyway, if you wanna create some kind of policy, alert policy, you need to know how to do this. So if you, for example, want to identify some reconnaissance, right? Because before ransomware, there's always some reconnaissance. Because before the denial of service, there's always some kind of reconnaissance, like in cyber chain, kill chain process. So it's a reconnaissance. If you want to identify that someone created, for example, 100 test accounts on your production environment, and then try to assign or assigned select any table to the account. You can create this alert policy, and as a result, you will see it in the console. You will see it in the reports, obvious stuff. You will get by email that it's something is happening, but you will know what is happening in your environment. So by creating alert policy, you can identify, find the action you want, and it's important to you. Like this: create user, and then this user someone assigned to this user select any table privilege. It's important to understand what is happening. And alert policy in firewall is a tool to identify some actions. It could be create user, it could be select any table. Me, probably, I would create assignment of any privileges. I mean system privileges, because in database, actually in data or any database, you have object privileges that you can control in an easy way. Grant, select on object, so it's easy. But you have system privileges. Just in the newest Oracle database version, we have schema privileges. So, but this is new. This is new stuff, right? 23 AI. But with older versions, you have object and system privileges, and you can change something. But when someone has select any table and you have no additional protection, then it means that it's access to everything. And it's okay if it's uh, justification by business. If you have justification by business, it's fine. But if it's part of the attack, you want to understand it. You want to know this. So this is how it works. And the last part from that the section, it's audit standardization. The right part, it's an Oracle recommendation. So when you put in the internet Oracle audit best practices, you will understand and you will see Oracle policies, and this is how it works. No magic behind, but maybe, and this is left part, maybe you want to change something. Maybe you want to use sys, again sys configuration. This is important also from the needs perspective. Article 25, again, standardization, right? Technical specifications. We are using sys. We are using sys to run assessment. We are using sys to select audit policies. I think it's important. And then you have all those details that you can, maintain. For example, maybe you don't want to audit actions from some users. It's up to you. But you can run this standardization. It's not always such obvious stuff. So I think that this is also valid. And then, no surprise, in a report section, you can see result of your actions, and you can review what is important to you. You can concentrate on activities that are important to you, and or maybe you can generate your own report. So it's up to you. The tool is flexible enough to let you run some kind of identification process you want. And this, it was about auditing, and not complex stuff, but brings huge value from my perspective, because you are starting to understand what is happening in your network. Important. And now a few words about firewall. That part, especially that part, I mean firewall part, I love to work on Oracle Live Labs because there is a lot of stuff here. You can simulate a lot of attacks using, for example, port swigger tools. And the beauty behind is to see how it works instead of talking about functionality on slide, but to have big picture. I told you just a few minutes ago that in firewall we have two modes, and the one is presented here. I hope it's quite clear. It's a picture from documentation, so it's not magic behind. You can look at the Oracle firewall documentation and to understand what's happening here. But here it's like this. You connect your firewall. You connect your firewall to a mirror or trunk port or on your switch in your segment, network segment, to understand what is happening. In the mirror port, you have the copy of the full communication in your segment, network segment. So firewall will see what is happening. So this is typical. This is usually the first approach, monitoring mode only. So you do not change any SQL statement. No, 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 no. You are looking what is happening. You are gathering the knowledge. You are starting to understand what is normal, what is not normal. Maybe you want to verify if you are still playing in the game you know you are playing. So this is, I love to say about firewalls like this, because I think that this is very important to understand what is happening. And from the firewall perspective, it's the same console. So everything is in the same console: policies, targets, reports. So it's I would say, very simple tool, but the power behind is not that simple. It's complex stuff, because you have alerts, you have audit, and then you have firewall policies. With policies, you can create depending on the approach, but when you use, for example, firewall in a proxy mode, so you put firewall in the network, and your privileged users need to go through the firewall to databases, for example, that it means that you can influence any statement. So you can redact, change. You can change any statement. You can change the where, for example, condition. So in proxy mode, you can enforce some actions. And in that case, for example, you can create policy, and it could be based on, for example, whitelist. Whitelist means trusted communication. So you know what your application or users could do, and you are okay with this, and let's call it whitelist. And the whitelist is it's a okay communication. You don't want to change anything, but you wanna lock or maybe block some other actions outside of whitelist. It depends on the strategy. Whitelist, blacklist. It's great to touch it on Oracle Live Lab, but it's a great opportunity to control what is happening. And here you have some kind of default out of the box firewall policies, but you usually create your own, because you know what you want to do, you know what you want to achieve, and you know your risk, if it's important or not, it's an area of the highest risk or not. As a result, let's imagine that it works like this. I mean, I think that Oracle Live Labs is the best place to see. But at first, it probably it's not a surprise to you. At first, you can look at the report, what is happening, what is blocked, what is not blocked. But if you have proxy mode, So when you have monitoring mode, you go to reports and you know verify what's going on. Quite easy to understand. But if you have proxy mode, and if you initiate, for example, like here, union SQL injection, there at the result, as the result, you will see without here is without policy. So SQL injection with success, but with policy, no success. I mean, no output. And usually, this is at least this is my approach, and that would be my recommendation. Usually, with any SQL firewalls, I use Portswigger. There's a Portswigger Academy, and they have, this is that slide here on the right. I use the academy to simulate some attacks and to see how to write how to change policy to mitigate some risks. And I think that this is also great because one of the most important thing is to learn. But this is not only about cybersecurity because firewall actually could give you knowledge how the application is written. So it's much so it is much more than cybersecurity here. But anyway, I use Portswigger to initiate some attacks, and I think that this is learning by doing it. This is the best way. Actually, the SQL Union SQL injection attack from our lab, because in Oracle Live Lab you have not only the platform itself, you have different examples how to do this, how to achieve this. So Oracle prepared some labs and you can try. And also one of the lab there is SQL injection. I think that this is very important and great platform to to learn something with a super great value. But anyway, I also with Protswigger, you know that vulnerability assessment and penetration testing is important, not only in NIST, but also in DORA. It's also part of RTS, I mean regulatory technical standard. But Portswigger, they have BART suite. I mean, great tool that you can use to run vulnerability assessment or run some penetration testing, and I love it. I really enjoy my time with with this technology to understand how to change application request to make some kind of harm to a repository, and without proper approach to application writing, like I don't know, I mean, maybe of us top 10 about application, or maybe different specifications without any uh, way about writing application. It's always some job to do about security. There is always some job to do about security. So it's important to test, especially when you develop yourself something. So it should be part of your testing environment. And I think that this is great. So it's a firewall, but it brings great value, really great value. Try it, because as I said on the slide, it's talking about technology, fantastic, yeah, big picture, fantastic, but to understand how it works, how the SQL grammar works, it's super great, and so I think it's worth to go to the lab. If you have any questions, just let us know. Let me know. It's I think it's great value. But this is about audit vault and database firewall. You know it's about the network, great. But with the newest Oracle database, we have Oracle SQL firewall included in database. So it's 23 AI, and there is no chance to bypass Oracle firewall because it will be in the Oracle audit vault and database firewall. That technology I just explained, it's a network appliance, so it's different uh, approach, but, and I love this kind of message here at the end of this discussion, it's a supplement like DORA and RTS. So here you can control through the network, and here you can control through the heart. So it's a supplement. It's not network or in engine, or I mean in database. It's not like this discussion. I mean, it's do I have any technology in the network that I can use to mitigate my risks? But if just one tool, if I use just one tool, what will happen if that tool will not identify your threat? Maybe this is the right question. So that's why you need to think about different layers of security. I mean, you from the people from the security area should have that picture with a castle in mind right now, and when you have different approaches to how to secure the castle. So it was about database, firewall, and audit. And the last topic here today, I would like to talk about encryption. But if you have any questions about firewall and audit, or maybe if you have any questions about database activity monitoring, you can ask anytime you want. Maybe you have different opinions about risk management, maybe different threat modeling examples. Just feel free to ask. No problem with that, and I would be great to run such discussions. So just remember about this. If you have any questions, just ask.
Maybe I can start the discussion. So I absolutely love your conclusion for the first part with the castle and the moat and the security in depth. This is what I also hear in the discussions with business when you're trying to explain security. It's a very, very good analogy. Thank you for that. I had a couple of questions. First, maybe going back to the CIS standard that you presented at the beginning. I was thinking of asking you in practice, what have you seen? Do companies have only one baseline, so one profile created, and this is applicable for all of the applications, all of the databases? Or did you see an approach in which they have one baseline and some exemptions, or maybe two or more baselines? What
Yeah.
did you see in practice?
With database assessment, for example, because I think I can share with this. I've done more than 200 assessments last 4 years, so it's at least some good knowledge to share some points. Usually I would say that 40%, 50% companies, they don't have baseline. They don't have. This is some kind of ad hoc approach. I would call it like this. So they sometimes I hear we don't have baseline. We don't have baseline because we have no security incidents. And when I ask how you measure, we don't measure. We are just free from cybersecurity problems. Everything is fine. And this is 40%, I would say, they don't have baseline. When I explain that this is important, not only because compliance perspective, but because it's easier to do your job. It's when you have if you experience your, I mean, if you will have your incident, what will you do? This is my question. What will you do? How you will protect yourself? How you will tell them, I do my job, I saw the problem, and I did my job properly. And that kind of messaging is changing a lot because people, they are thinking, well, this is good question, and I will change my approach. But this is 40%, so 40% they don't have any baseline. But the biggest, for example, in Poland, this is what we have. The biggest means 20%. They usually they have CIS. Sometimes it's maintained very well, like monthly with monthly basis, and this is great. Sometimes it's not that great, but they have regular meetings. They have regular reviews, so they have due care. And but probably this is about 20%. The rest, it depends on needs, I would say like this. So from my perspective, there is no such thing like one baseline. It would be fantastic that you have some kind of fundament and you are creating something from this fundament. But I think there is a huge job to do to have some kind of common approach and draw from this approach in a proper way. I hope this is the answer for your question. If you want to, if I should explain more, just go ahead. But
Yeah.
I think that it's much more to do and create one approach. I mean, I'm not saying that only one approach is proper. Maybe if you have different technology types, then it's a little bit different from the implementation perspective. But it's easy to run a discussion about confidentiality, right? If you have information assets in your database, just encrypt them to protect your confidentiality, and maybe it's implemented in a different way in Oracle, in Microsoft SQL, so implementation is different, but the idea behind this is quite the same. So you have security algorithm like advanced encryption standard, you have different you have keys, so you know to you should know how to run a separation of duty from the key management perspective. So the idea is the same, maybe implementation is different. So this is how I see this case. I hope it's an answer for your question.
Yes, no, thank you very, very much. This is what I was thinking, what you said also because of the different technologies, and maybe also because the organization is a living organism, so it has maybe some legacy applications, it has some newer applications in different technologies, and it may be difficult to have a single baseline that would be applicable for all because some may have some particularities.
Mm-hmm. Last comment. I think that is a super great point because when you have technology, uh, uh, and this is, for example, 20 years old system, and it was written without, cybersecurity at all, then it's obvious that you cannot do a lot. I mean, if you still need to maintain such system, you need to think about some kind of compensation mechanism. So outside from this technology. So yes, I think that this is great point here.
Mhm. Yes, thank you. And for the sys hardening, I was thinking now also in line with the hardening for operating systems and so on, all of the other
Hmm.
hardening best practices. What is your opinion, or what have you seen in practice? If it's good to have like this hardening part, like database assessment in your case, at the as a security by design. So within the software development life cycle, to also include this point from the beginning, so you don't end up having some configurations and then doing the assessment when you are in production.
I love this point. I love this point. But the reality is like this. You can put configuration like this. Oh, maybe 80%, 90% configuration. Auditing for sure. And when we look at the CISA, there are areas that you can automate without even asking. So it should be a baseline. But uh, every business system has different aims, and with privileges, for example, is not that easy with privileges and roles. So you can create some kind of, I don't know, way of thinking like we will use role-based access control or attribute-based access control, but in the end everything depends on access policy. So uh, with some areas you can uh, standardize and automate the whole process without any problems. But with some areas, you need to uh, touch this all the time when you develop something. But I think it's quite normal. It's quite normal. Not everything could be automated, and probably not everything should be automated. But with CIS recommendations, I think that 60 or 70% will be automation. I mean, will be automated. That would be fantastic. because at least we can, and this is way of thinking, we can set something properly on the beginning and then change maybe later, because I don't know, I can imagine that application will require some kind of changes, but we are good at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the opposite when we are bad at the beginning and then we forget about the problem. So maybe also that kind of way of thinking is important. So that I would answer to that question that way.
Mm-hmm. Okay, super. So it looks like you embed like risk assessment for any exceptions from the baseline that you implement at the beginning. To me,
Yes. Especially, I mean, I know that when I talk about database assessment tool, and when we have configuration, tons of points, when we have privileges, a lot of privileges, more than 200 probably, when we are talking about system privileges. So it's easy to feel uncomfortable in such area, but the key point with the configuration, with the privileges, is to identify the area of the highest risks. And I think that this is 5%, 10% of all actions. So it's not that big. I mean, I think that mature companies, mature organization, they know the area of the highest risk. And this is the key of their success. They know. They just know because they involve. They are engaged in the process. So the same way of thinking is here. So identify what is the most important thing. Think what kind of security controls you have to mitigate that risk. If you are not great with privileges and you feel it should not be like this, then you need to have something to monitor the traffic, or especially monitor, for example, privileged users or users that use this select any table privilege. So that kind of thinking, so additional layer to mitigate your risk, even if you are not perfect, but because for sure you are not perfect.
yes, yes, of course. Super. Many thanks. Um, and I had one more question, or actually it's a two-part question about the audit vault server. Whether you've seen this implemented in order to be integrated also with a CM solution, and to get some alerts directly to the SOC team, but through the CM solution, or how
Mhm.
did you see this?
It's yes. This is also a great question from the architecture perspective. Obviously, what I'm saying here is a simplification. When we have here on this, even of this picture you are seeing right now, when you have one audit vault, but yes, sometimes, and I think that it could be the best architecture. Sometimes the first filter, if I can say like this, from this architecture I am presenting here, is audit vault. So you can just filter what is really important to you and send it, and I mean forward, maybe the better word, forward it to the center's CM system with a good quality. Yes, sometimes it's architecture when you have as a first filter audit vault, and I think that this is very important to mention, that this configuration is super valid. And then from audit you can forward the most important information to your CM system. Uh, without this, you sometimes it's garbage in, garbage out in a CM, right? I mean, when you don't have something dedicated to, for example, database auditing, when you don't have, then you can have in your CM a huge garbage. Even if you have great analytical tools there, it's the quality with any, yeah, like with any analytical stuff, if you have not so great input, then output is also not so fantastic. But this is valid architecture when you have audit vault as a first filter and the CM as a central audit tool. So I hope that it's the answer for your question.
No, super, super. Many thanks. Yeah, indeed, that was what I was thinking, because out of all of the audit the trails and so on, the security team should figure out the ones that are actually relevant in order to correlate with something else from CM to see a potential security incident. So you first have this part about figuring out what rules and what is relevant before you actually send the data to the CM. This is what I was thinking.
Yes, and sometimes, with this auditing stuff, you can have here less experienced, let's call it operators, and they can always take some knowledge from this auditing stuff to understand what is happening, and they can just maybe they concentrate on a small part of your business, and this is also valid to have to share with someone small part of your network or communication instead of giving them access to your central CM. So it depends on the business context, but I think that it's more or less clear with this architecture.
Okay, super. Many thanks. These were my questions for the first part.
Okay, thank you so much. Actually, right now it's my favorite topic. This is about the encryption, and I know that the different companies they have encryption. They for example they encrypt storage, they encrypt backup, and then different stuff like this. But let me be clear here. I will be talking about encryption of information, of asset. And I know that, I don't know, maybe some years ago, we encrypted device to protect information. My way of thinking about security in general, especially when we are talking about confidentiality, is to protect the information, and information in a life cycle. Remember that: create, store, use, share, archive, destroy. So when we think about Oracle database, we always think in the context of information lifecycle, how the information comes into the system, how it's processed. I mean, information handling. So this is important stuff. And I will be talking about encryption. I will show you how we implemented encryption. But it's important from the DORA perspective, right? Because it's section 4, encryption and cryptography, and article 7, 6, 7 is about key management. And this NISA standardization stuff, this is all important. But and I would like to tell you how to implement encryption in Oracle database. And what is more important, how to implement key management. This is also important. As I told you in the beginning, test and dev environment, if you want to be consistent from the confidentiality perspective, you should, I think, implement in the production encryption, because this is the best way to um, protect confidentiality in production environment using encryption, and then masking for test and dev environment. I think that this is quite consistent approach. But once again, why encrypt data? I mean, this is I know that from many people it's quite easy to understand, but let me be clear. The life cycle of the information, this is number one. Obviously, we even with DORA, right? I mean, with DORA, with NIS2, we have information at rest, information in transit. I mean, data at rest, data in transit, and data in use. So it's all about information lifecycle. So it's important to understand that this is about protection of information. And at Oracle, especially in Oracle Enterprise Edition, because this encryption is a part from the technology perspective. From the technology perspective, is included in Oracle Enterprise Edition, but it's consistent for information lifecycle, and I think that this is beauty about this. So you can encrypt in Oracle. You can encrypt dedicated columns in your table, or the whole table space. And when you encrypt, it means that you encrypt information, not the device. Not the device, information. From my perspective, information is an asset. It's to be or not to be in the market. So its information has a value. So that's why it's important to encrypt information, your asset, not your device. But when we talk about standardization, I mean, I mentioned already about Article 25 about standardization. I mean, international standard, NIS2, Article 25. So it's here we support and we do this. We are using this in our algorithm, advanced encryption standard with different key length. With, for example, with new database, I think it's worth to go to. Sometimes it's worth to go to Oracle documentation. You will see that it's a 256, and we are changing modes. So. I think that from the standardization perspective, it's important. Just to talk few words, I promise, about the technology. We call it transparent data encryption. Transparent means that application doesn't know that we encrypt, database encrypt information, and that's why we do not need to run any changes on the application perspective. So, that's the beauty behind it, and. Yeah, there is a point, very low performance. Always people, when we are talking about encryption, there is always discussion about performance. And there are always questions, performance overhead or performance issues. And when you put something in your process, something additional like encryption, there's always a performance drop. But since we have cryptographic frameworks, I mean coprocessor in our infrastructure like Intel or Power, so it means that the cryptography operations, they are done in this chip. So that's first stuff. The second stuff, I always want to measure, and I always recommend to measure. It's easy to measure what kind of performance drop you can expect. In our documentation, you will see that this is small or sometimes very small, but for sure you will measure. It's up to you if you are okay with this or not. But from the performance perspective, let me be clear like this here, because it's implemented at Oracle, so it's the fastest as possible. This is not additional application on the database. No. It's inside. This from the performance perspective, this performance discussion is important, but I would say that another discussion is more important and more important right now. Key management, because this is from the organizational perspective very important. And Dora, you have this in section 4. So this key management, I will touch it, and I think that this is more important than performance. We have tons of customers with transparent data encryption enabled, and they are super happy with that kind of technology that mitigate the confidentiality risks. Remember my question before: what technology could have an impact in reducing the cost of data breach? When you look at I think it was Ponemon Institute. I don't remember the name of the analytical company, but they issue a report about cost of data breach, and it was I think that encryption was top 5 factor that could reduce the cost of data breach. And that's why it's so important. Finally, if we come back once again to ENISA threat landscape report, it's 19% of data. I mean, incidents that happened, 90% data breach, data leak. So it's very important. It's very important to mitigate your risk using encryption. And just to tell you how it works. That's a part of documentation, so I did not create it by myself, but it's a part of Oracle documentation. You can verify it in an easy way. But I will explain about key management right now, and I'm going to use this image. So when you want to encrypt your column in your table, let's talk about column encryption here, because you remember column or table spaces or whole table space. So when you encrypt, you can use a key, right? Or let's call it operational key. That key is stored in Oracle database, but that key is used to encrypt and decrypt your information. Quite easy, right? To understand. But the key are stored not in a plain text, that would be disaster, but they are decrypted and encrypted by key selected outside, I mean stored outside of Oracle database. We call it master key. And this is again standardization. That's why I put it here, Article 25, because this master key that you can use to decrypt and encrypt and decrypt operational key that you can use to decrypt and encrypt information in your database. That key, that master key, it's outside of Oracle just to, to support separation of duty, for example, but it's a PKCS hash 12. So it's a standard. So it's a protected key in a file. But if you feel that you need additional external protection for your master keys, you can use, for example, Key Vault, I mean, dedicated solution to manage key lifecycle. And that way, look at the big picture. You have here encryption on the right with, you protect information lifecycle, right, by using encryption. And then on the left, you are using, for example, Key Vault to protect key lifecycle. And that's the message behind. And I think that it's very important to understand that the great discussion about encryption. This is great discussion, and this is it's great to run Oracle Live Lab and to see how you can standardize this encryption, how you can run always advanced encryption standard 256 and from any new table space, and without even thinking about this. It's great, uh, but I think from the implementation perspective, it's very important to understand what will happen here when your keys are stored, who has access to your keys, who will run auditing or reporting on your keys. So the left side here, it's very important, very important. That's why maybe it's worth to choose Key Vault, for example, and not stay with master key as a file. No, it's all about risks. It's all about risks because it's also important discussion to how to run this encryption process. So I hope that you know right by now that you know that that we use master key to encrypt decrypt operational keys, and you have this two-tier architecture. It's very straightforward, very functional mechanism. And by the way, I told you about Key Vault and about key management. It's based on Oasis key management of interoperability protocol. So again, standard. So a lot of standardization here. I recommend, and I invite to run encryption in Oracle Live Lab, because here you can see the architecture, fantastic, but there is always great to see how it works and how fast you can enable technology to to support your business. I really invite to Oracle Live Lab with me or without me. You can run without me, and you can see what's going on there. It's a fantastic approach. And this is not only, text line. So you are not, this is not that, this is not, my message is not like you can, from command line, you can encrypt something. No, 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 no. When you use, for example, enterprise manager to manage your database or to your to databases, this is included in a graphical user interface. The security part, transparent data encryption, easy like this, no magic behind. And if you want to manage keys and if you want to verify what you have encrypted, I mean, what kind of objects like table spaces or tables, you can verify it here. You can see everything what you need. When you want to change master key, because the way about keys should be the same, almost the same, just for our presentation only, like with keys, like with passwords. So if you have any change in your organization, you should rekey. I mean, you should change your key, and this is very important to have such practice in your organization. But this is probably another discussion maybe in a Oracle Live Lab, how to manage keys and maybe how to use Oracle Key Vault to manage the whole process. So I think that this is very important, and I suggest to think about this. But also we have this encryption because it's a part of database, right? It's not an application on top of database, it's a part of database. So it means from Oracle perspective, yes, this is especially from Oracle perspective, that we, for example, we compress before we encrypt. And I think that this is important. This integration means that when you run data pump, and I mean when you export data, it means that your data will be encrypted. When you run your backup using Erman, in Erman you have two encryption options, so you can set what you want, and it's very, very easy. You can verify it by yourself or Oracle Live Lab. But this integration means that some processes are done before. And I think that this is important to tell you. So it's about TDE integration, especially, yeah, this is in here with Exadata. So the same stuff like hybrid compression, that functionality available on Exadata or maybe Exadata Smart Scan. This is the same story because it's implemented. And I'm not going, no worries, I'm not going to tell you history about encryption, but when you look at common criteria, it's evaluation assurance level 4 plus. So it's a mechanism that we have more than 20 years. It's not because of NIS2 or DORA, because we understand that there's a demand on the market. No, no, no. When you look at the security at Oracle, it's for longer time. It's not last 4 years. So it's a security by design. Everything, and I think that this is great message here. Everything what we do, I mean, doesn't matter. Maybe from scratch, maybe we create some architecture for our customers. It's security by design. This approach is important. It's clear message because some security features, they are part of database. They are part of database, and you need to know how to run them. So you need to learn how to run them. Some features like audit vault and database firewall, they are outside of database. And also you need to know, you need to have at least basic knowledge how to use them. But it's always cost versus benefit. You need to decide what you want to protect. You need to decide the sensitivity of your information. I mean, the value of the information. Like with DORA section 3, right? ICT assessment management. You need to know this. And then you need to use some kind of technology to mitigate your risks. But it's your decision. It's you are the one who accept or mitigate or transfer or maybe avoid by not doing something. You can avoid your risk. So management, it's on you. But with this Oracle encryption stuff, there is a lot of innovation inside. So you can look at the Oracle Live Labs, you can look at the documentation, and you will see that, and you will understand. Once again, just as a summary of this discussion, you can encrypt selected columns. You can encrypt table spaces. I am always about table spaces, because when you change something in your schema, then you need to know what to do, what to encrypt later. You need to remember. And then there are some differences. I mean, obviously, there's always a pros and cons discussion. I mean, what kind of technology could influence on something. So it's always a technology discussion. It's important to have a technology discussion behind before you select something. I mean, before you select, for example, to encrypt columns. And it's also this discussion is included in Oracle documentation. But I think that tablespace it's the best way to encrypt your sensitive data. Anyway, this is the easiest part. The technology here is the easiest part, and you can verify it very quickly in Oracle Live Labs. But with the key management, I see a lot of challenges sometimes it's not that easy to understand how to use how to run this process, and this is always big discussion. But at Oracle, as you know, we have operational keys that you can use to encrypt and decrypt information, and the master key outside. So these are two-tier encryption key architecture, quite easy to understand. But from the organizational perspective, it's always important to think how to manage your keys. So I hope that it's quite uh, mm, uh, obvious to you. And last final word about key management. We have to as an add-on, I would say like this, but this is separated product actually. We have Oracle Key Vault. It's a separated product to manage your keys, to manage your key management lifecycle. And this is it's not. I don't want to explain uh, a lot about key management here, but I want to just underline one thing. It's based on key management interoperability protocol, so it's Oasis. It works for many solutions, not only Oracle, but in general. This is KMIP is the magic word behind. So if you have some kind of standard, then you can use Key Vault. But also, I think that it's important to understand one thing, and this is how we design systems. And if you remember, I mean, it was third slide with maximum availability architecture. I told you that we have zero data loss recovery appliance, and I will come back to this subject. And this is that moment. This is that moment. So we have a tool. I mean, actually, I would say a solution. We have a solution to manage your backups, I mean, in an intelligent way. But I don't want to express technology behind how it works. But look, I would like to tell you about consistency here, because when we are talking about encryption in database, we are creating a backup solution. It's based on this encryption technology you use in your Oracle database. So I'm saying when you encrypt your information, your assets, then it's obvious that it's encrypted here, right, on your backup solution. That's it. No magic behind. But for example, when you need legal hold, when you are in the some kind of process and you need to change your retention policy, then recovery appliance has it as a feature, as a technology feature. As when you are talking about when you are thinking about how to protect against ransomware, then I always say like this: at Oracle, we are not a ransomware. We are not protecting. I mean, we are not designing ransomware against systems. We are a data company, so we do not create tools against. I mean, to tell you how to protect against ransomware. But look, we have backup solution with immutable backup that could be used as a, I mean, method to, to mitigate your ransomware risk. Finally, in the report, ENISA, this the newest report, they said that ransomwares, they see it's a case. First case with ransomware is when someone encrypt your data and saying, "Give me my ransom, give me 1 million euro. I will give you a key you can, return to your business." And this is against availability, obviously. But another type of ransom is when they steal your data. So it's not only about availability, like in the first time, it's about confidentiality. So as I said, we are not ransomware company. We are not doing technology against, but if you encrypt your data with Oracle technology, then and someone will steal your data, then it's useless. It's another discussion. So you are putting the discussion on another level. So it's a lot about details here. No, 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 I don't want to, talk about such stuff, but it's worth to think about this. Legal hold, it will be important in case of any incident. Remember, it's not if, it's when. So it's important. Immutable backup, ransomware protection, encrypted backup, maybe obvious, maybe not, but with simple encryption, you can have at least basic security measure against some kind of ransomware attack. So it's important to think like this. And yes, key management is included in our key vault. So when you have when you decided to run, for example, encryption, and you are using your recovery appliance tool, that then you can use key vault. So it's a quiet. I like this message because there is a lot of points here you can use against some kind of threats, and the message is consistent. So it depends on your business needs, always like this. But I would like to tell you, I would like to say a few words in the end. This is on the left. This is 2 years ago, ENISA, right? On the right, this is this year ENISA report. And look what happened. Look what happened. It seems that, and this is the story behind. It seems that we are learning how to work. I mean, how to find against ransomware, right? Because it was the first 31, now it's 25. It means that we know a lot. We know the type of attack, and we can, run some measures against. But distribution denial of service, 2441, I think is a big room to improvement. It's a network stuff. So it shouldn't be like this. And data, this is fantastic. 20% last, I mean, 2 years ago, this year, 19%, almost 20%. And we are still talking about security. I mean, encryption, key management, and the same result. So it means that we are not learning, maybe. That's my conclusion. Maybe wrong, maybe not, but we are not learning. We think we're ready, but maybe because we think about security as a state. So we bought encryption, we bought antivirus, we bought a firewall. Let's wait what will happen. It doesn't work like this. It doesn't work. We have 0 days. We have different threats against us, and that's why we should be in the process. So just look at it. I will leave you this presentation. So just think about this from your business assessment perspective. And I think that this is a very important message, because my perception here is like this. Budget is not a rubber, it's not unlimited, but if you do care about your network, if you do care about your confidentiality, I'm not saying you are secure, because it's not that message, but I think you're ready to say that I have at least fundament to find against additional stuff. So think about this: network confidentiality. That's the message we can see in the ENISA report. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, that just ask. I would like to tell you once again, because I think it's a fantastic message. Use Oracle Live Lab, use Portswigger, such very great tools to improve your knowledge. I think that in case of attack, without, for example, vulnerability assessment, in case of attack, you cannot respond. You cannot run any investigation, because you don't know what to do, and you are not able to understand what happened. Just by doing such examples like vulnerability assessment, like penetration testing, you are improving your knowledge. And this is, I think, that behind automation that we will use to mitigate our risk, I think that education is very important. So I am always involved in a education process. If you want, just let me know. Let's do it. Thank you so much.
Super, super. Thank you for this message with the conclusion. We fully agree. I would have maybe one question if no one else has questions at the moment. I was thinking about what you said first with the keys. and with the encryption of the database. How did you see this implemented in the cloud scenario? Did you see some particularities by customers, or do customers focus on implementing this in on-premise now and have not started yet with the cloud?
Mhm. I had a lot of such discussions, and I will say like this: when you manage your keys, when you are the owner of your keys, and you, for example, create your solution, the most important thing is the availability of your key, the availability. So when you have something on-prem in your own environment, then you control the network and you do care about availability of your key management solution. Obviously, you can manage your keys in the network. I mean, in the cloud, any cloud. I mean, Thales is available, which is a great HSM solution that you can use to manage your keys in any cloud. But the question, it's always I think that this is the most important risk in any key management solution, is about network availability. So when you design something, think about network availability of your key management, because different customers, when they run businesses, especially this is about new businesses, when they run businesses in the cloud, they use cloud vaults, like key vaults in the cloud. But this is when they actually process information in the cloud. So they don't need to, care about network connection to key management system that it's stored in their own data center. So it depends on the topic. But if you decide, that is nothing wrong, obviously, if you decide to encrypt on your on-prem, in your own data center, when you, for example, decide to encrypt your database using technology I just described, and you will use your cloud provider to manage your keys, there always think about network availability, because it works like this: no master key availability, no encryption. So it's very important to have that in mind, and you can choose what you want. But this is part of also part of risk management, right? So what will happen if I will not have available my key management system through the network? So you will not decrypt your information. Can I accept that? So this is that kind of thinking. I'm not saying one architecture is better than another, but I'm saying that there are some factors, not only availability, but network availability, but especially network availability, that that you need to consider, at least right now. But I hope that in the future, I mean, I hope in the future we will have different approaches, like homomorphic encryption, for example. And in general, when you look at confidential consortium, you will see that there's open work, and they are working to change our encryption stage. So for sure it will change in the future. But right now, when we are talking about classical way, think about network availability. So that would be my answer for this question.
Super, super. Many thanks outlining the risks and the benefits for this. And maybe one final question, and also open the floor for the other colleagues. In terms of the backups that you described, have you seen the option of having the backups in the cloud, or do clients prefer to have them on premise, depending on the architecture, if it's in the cloud, the application of the client, or on
Mhm.
premise?
I see a lot of environments when backup solution is in the cloud with encryption. I think this is the because it's the cheapest way of doing such process. I think it's all about money. I mean, it's always cost versus benefit. This obvious stuff. So now when we have different data residency, I mean, in different European countries, when you protect your backup properly by encryption, I think that it's a very famous approach. and very well known approach to do your backup in the cloud. But obviously you can run your backups when you want. When you have encryption enabled, actually data residency is not that important. I mean, you can store your backups when you want, where you want. But without proper protection, without encryption, uh, it's always a risk, because I mean, with any CSP, any cloud provider, I mean, to be honest, I love cloud, but it's important to have a proper contract. When you don't encrypt by yourself, so you do not care about confidentiality by yourself, and you think that cloud service provider will think for you, it's always a risky approach. So my recommendation would be, you are the data owner, um, you protect your data regarding data value, and encrypt, and then do backups even in the cloud. So if it's business justified, just do it properly. So that's what I think about the process.
Mhm. Super, super. Many thanks for this insight. This was my question. Thank you very much for your presentation. It was very informative. A lot of tips and tricks, and a lot of ways to approach risk assessment and things to consider for risk assessment. So for me, it was very helpful. I'll open the floor also to the other persons on the call if they have any questions or would like to address a few words.
Super. If you have any questions, then I am open. Uh, uh, I would say thank you for your I would say like this. Thank you for your invitation. I hope that you will you get some inspire stuff here. Maybe your approach is different. I have no idea, but I would say as a final statement, I would say like this: test, test, and test again. So by testing your environment, testing your control, you can take additional knowledge. You can understand what's working, what's not working, and just try to understand it. Try to do this before any incident, before any um problem will happen. So take the knowledge from you, and I think that it's the best way to improve your knowledge, and finally you will be successful. That's the message behind. So thank you so much. All the best. I wish you all the best in your risk management approach. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening, and thank
Thank you
you
so
for
much,
joining.
Marcin. Awesome
Thank you.
presentation and really valuable information.
Yeah, thank you. All the best. Thank you
All the
and
best.
goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Bye bye.